Happy Halloween and welcome back to the Block Party, your source for everything music and pop culture. I'm your host, Alana Hayes, and my guest this week is current MU student and author of My Serious Sympologies, Gabriel Levi.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the block. First thing that's hot on the block is Miss Ariana Grande's Positions. Earlier this month, she tweeted, "I'm so excited to give you my album this month." And last Friday, we got a taste of what's to come. She dropped Positions, a single, the lead single from her upcoming album Positions, which included a video that went about different aspects of her life and different ways of being presidential and sexual in the same way. And this era, based on Positions, is going to give us an edgier version of Ariana. The Ariana that we never really get to see before, that we haven't really seen since Dangerous Woman. This album will include features from Doja Cat on the song Nasty and Ty Dolla $ign. But the song that is garnered the most attention is 34 plus 35, for obvious reasons.
Do the math if you don't understand why that song is trending.
I think we're all very excited to see what Miss Ariana is going to give with this new era, and the album will be out October 30th.
Yes, and I'm so excited to finally get a more edgier side of Ariana because it still feels like people are trying to keep her in her Nickelodeon days and they still want to have Cat Valentine, but y'all have to realize Ariana Grande is almost 30. So if she wants to talk about about being sexually active and wants to be an edgier person, y'all have to let her go.
I think that on the other end, though, I think it's such a strange transition for fans because we're just coming off of the Sweetener era, and Sweetener was garnered towards children, and that it had a very childish feel to it, and not that I don't mean that in a bad way. It just seemed like it was the target audience was teenagers and children, and then we got us to Thank You Next, where she was talking about more sexual things, and then we're jumping full into her sexuality. So I think that for younger fans, that can be a tough transition for them.
Yeah, but I would like to point out she had a much smoother transition than Miley Cyrus did because we went straight from Hannah Montana to Banger. So we went straight from It's My World and everybody can just have bubblegum and ponies to We Can't Stop, We Won't Stop, and she's half naked on a wrecking ball.
I think that the difference between Miley and Ariana, though, is that Miley made such a shocking transition that it didn't take long for her fans to get used to it. Ariana's transition was gradual, therefore I think it was a little hard for fans to catch on to it because it was harder for us to see her as an adult when we grew up with her as Nickelodeon, and I would say almost up until Sweetener, we still had that Nickelodeon-esque feel to things.
Definitely.
So the fact that she's made such a stark transition really can be difficult for a lot of fans.
Next up, we have Juice WRLD has a new album on the way, according to Lil Bibby. In a video interview, Lil Bibby revealed that new music from the late rapper is coming. He also said the next album is going to go crazy. I don't know about you, but I am very excited for this album, and I am a huge Juice WRLD stan. And how about you?
I'm very, very excited for this album, but I think it raises a greater conversation about posthumous albums because I don't know if you remember, but back in 2016 with Scorpion by Drake, it featured Michael Jackson. And that sparked a lot of controversy because people were kind of upset that Michael Jackson's likeness was being used on a song and he really had no knowledge about it. So I'm very interested to see the response from this album. His fans love it. Will they hate it? Will they say it's disrespectful? Who knows?
And I know with the last album, while some enjoyed it, they did feel that it was a little disrespectful because Lil Bibby tried to tell Juice WRLD's story, and they felt like it was mumbled. It was just all over the place. But it was still, the music was good, but he just didn't know how to arrange it. So that's also going to raise a debate about if you're going to use somebody's music, do you know the correct way to use it? Because there's also supposed to be a new song by Notorious B.I.G. coming out for a Pepsi commercial. So there's also some concerns about that because you can't arrange an album like that person would, obviously, because you are not that person. But at the same time, if their family's okay with it, they feel like that person would have been okay with it, I feel like it should be fine.
The problem, basically, in summary, the problem is that how do we speak for the dead?
Yeah.
Because Juice WRLD cannot, like you said, cannot tell us how he feels about this album. He cannot tell us if he wanted his work released. And Lil Bibby, the problem, which on both sides, is that is he doing Juice WRLD justice? Because based on personal experience and things like that, Juice WRLD meant a lot to a lot of people. He sparked, I would say, almost a new genre of music in which you can express your feelings and express those more sad emotions in a way that is productive rather than things like self-harm or things like or things like that. So I think that Juice WRLD's impact has affected the way that the fans will receive this album, and it definitely will be a very strong controversy coming when this album comes out.
Of course, because there was also controversy when Pop Smoke's album came out, especially with the album artwork, because that was awful. I'm going to be completely honest with you, that was awful. And they wanted us to vote, and it was awful. Both options were generally terrible. It looked like something that was done in a 5th grade art class.
But the thing is, does that fit his brand? Like, because Pop Smoke, based on his previous work when he was alive, he was never really a flashy person when it came to music. His music, he gave off vibes that his work spoke for itself. And so when you look at that artwork, did they actually reflect how he would have felt about it? Or did they disrespect him? And once again, that brings up the problem. How do we speak for someone who's not here anymore?
For our next topic, we're back on Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion, because he is still harassing her over the internet. This week, he says he still feels Megan Thee Stallion is his friend. And Megan Thee Stallion says he is genuinely crazy. Now, I don't know about you, Gabe, but I am tired of him running his mouth. He first said that, yeah, he did it. Then he took it back. Then he made an album, which I felt was very disrespectful, especially when he brought her mother into it. And now he's still insisting that the allegations are not true, even though he is facing jail time and there are medical records supporting her claims that he shot her.
The problem with the whole situation for me is I have the biggest issue with Tory Lanez, obviously, but my problem is with the internet's reception of the news. Why is everyone so quick to blame Megan rather than blame Tory? I saw a bunch of particularly black men on the internet saying that Megan was a liar, she was a snitch, she's doing the streets dirty and things like that. And it was very disrespectful not only to her, but black women in general, because we should uphold the standard of believing black women's story, because in the words of Malcolm X, black women are the most disrespected people in America. And it almost makes me a little emotional when I think about the fact that Megan protected Tory. When amidst Black Lives Matter and police brutality and things like that, she lied to the police so that they would not use excessive force against Tory. And that is a very, very powerful moment, because she put herself before another person in her time of need, and that speaks to black women as a whole.
Yes, and it all boils down to misogyny for me, because it seems like on the internet, black men seem to not really care about black women's issues. And that's true in real life too. But it just seems to be more evident on the internet, because she had to release her medical records just for people to believe her, and people still don't believe her. You're getting medical records. He's going on trial, and he's facing 22 years in prison. And she also had to get a protective order claim ruling that he cannot come in contact or come near her. So obviously, he did something. And the man got deported. So he obviously did something. And y'all are still trying to say Megan Thee Stallion is a liar. That is speaking to who you are as a character. Put yourself in her shoes. Keep in mind, she just lost her grandmother and her mother in the same month. She's feeling alone at this point. And somebody who she thought was her protector or her friend betrayed her and shot her. And she's still trying to protect this man. She didn't want to say who did it. She didn't even really want to say what happened, but y'all kept asking. Then when she told y'all, y'all are calling her a liar. And y'all are wondering why all of these things go unnoticed, or why they'll sit in the file cabinet somewhere in a police station. It's because of people like you who don't want to listen to black women when they tell you their truth and when they speak their truth.
Period. And my whole thing with this is it speaks to Megan's strength, because something that I've always wondered about her throughout this entire year is how does she do it? Because throughout this whole Tory Lanez situation, let's not forget that she just dropped Don't Stop. And Don't Stop, I thought it was, honestly, to be frankly honest, I thought it was going to be a diss track. I thought it was going to be a diss track on Tory Lanez. I was ready for her to go in on him. And it ended up being a semi-Halloween-ish twerking bop. And she went about full promotion. She did a live stream. She did a video. And all of this while she's still trying to process the trauma of being shot. And her strength in this situation really amazes me, because I'm wondering, how is she processing this at all? Has she grieved properly? Has she processed her trauma from being shot? Because that obviously is a traumatic experience. And it just seems like Megan Thee Stallion just keeps working, and she is a force to be reckoned with.
Indeed. She's most definitely has one of the greatest work ethics I have ever seen. But I just feel like if she was to respond, this is just me being petty at this point. If she was to respond, I need her to rap over 50 Cent's Many Men and
Mm-hmm.
call it Many Men because Tory Lanez is so short, he's probably not even at her kneecaps. So let's start there. Our next topic is 50 Cent and Asian Doll are coming out as Trump supporters. Earlier this week, 50 Cent said that anybody in New York who votes for Biden is out of their effing mind. An Asian Doll also says she messes with Trump because of how he gets money. So this is also, let's just take a minute to just bask in the idiocracy that is 50 Cent and Asian Doll. You would think 50 Cent, after being shot 9 times, would be a lot smarter about what he says. Let's start there. But let's just talk about how black celebrities tend to forget about their people. As soon as they come up, as soon as they come into some money, they just forget about us. And they forget about the working class, and they only think about themselves.
I think that a phrase that I was raised on is that money is the root of all evil.
Indeed.
And I think that we definitely see that with 50 Cent and Asian Doll. Because I wouldn't even say that either of them are in the top 1%, but they've gotten a taste of what that luxury is like. They've gotten a taste of what it's like to not have to struggle in certain ways. But I think that they've forgotten at the end of the day, what people see first is their skin color.
Indeed.
In America, they are their skin color before anything else. Not their net worth, and not how much success or how many records they've sold. So I think that they feel so far removed from the situations at hand in America that it's easy for them to put money over morals because they're like, oh, well, these problems won't bother me. But I think that both of them need to be sternly reminded that if it comes down to it, you are still a threat to a majority of America, especially with the kind of music that both of them make. 50 Cent being a pioneer of drill music and things like that, and Asian going with more of a hard female rap style. Both of those types of music aren't generally accepted in this moment. They still talk about shooting people, killing people in their music. And so I don't understand what the disconnect between the fact of why do you not think that you're not threatening anymore?
Exactly. And I saw on Twitter that somebody is not surprised that a dark-skinned woman who calls herself Asian would say something like that. Which it does raise a point as to why do people feel like race is important when you're promoting yourself as a rapper. Like you have rappers like Mulatto, you have rappers like Asian Doll, you have rappers like Cuban Doll. All of them are black. Why does it matter? Why do you feel like you have to put some type of title as to what you are to make it seem like you can sell records like that or you can do better? Like even Foxy Brown, but hers is, she's still acknowledging that she is a brown-skinned woman at the end of the day. If you're black, it's okay to just be black. I promise you. I promise you it is. You don't have to be mixed. You don't have to be Cuban. You can just be black. It's fine.
I for sure agree with you on that, but I think that there's also, it's more nuanced than that. I think that Mulatto, because I was listening to her album, and on her album, she kind of talks about, I think she says, if you want me to change my name, you can die slow, being too black for the white folks. And basically, in Mulatto's case, she's reclaiming something that she was called as a child, something that has caused her much harm. And I'm thinking, could that luxury be extended or like that grace be extended to Asian Doll, Cuban Doll, etc.? Because Asian Doll, because of like her features, could she have been called Asian? Could a Cuban Doll have been called Cuban or things like that? And so the denial of their blackness could make them want to reclaim it, but there's a disconnect between that internal conversation and the audience perception. So I definitely think that that's something that needs to be addressed.
Most definitely. But Asian Doll has a track record of saying dumb stuff, in my opinion. Because she said, oh, when I was younger, I used to like tacos, so I used to call myself Mexican. She has a track record of saying stuff that is so stupid. And people don't even listen to your music like that. You would think if it was somebody like, I don't know, Doja Cat or like Nicki Minaj, then maybe they could do something like that. People aren't really listening to your music like that. You aren't even the top dog. That's Cash Doll, and there's no debate on that. But it is important to note that both have apologized, but Asian doubled down and still said that she is a Trump supporter. 50 Cent says he does not support Trump, but he still said it. And where 50 Cent left off, Lil Pump jumped in because he is also a Trump supporter, which, is he not Hispanic?
Oh,
is he not?
He is.
After all, did Trump not say they came on coyotes like last week? And you're supporting this man.
He did indeed say that. It's just, once again, the greater conversation of how much success is worth your morals? How much money would you be willing to take to give away everything that means to you? And it seems like with these two artists who 50 Cent, have to admit, has fallen off in the last couple of years, it seems like it doesn't take that much for them to sell their souls to a little bit of cash. So that's that on that.
Speaking of a little bit of cash, our next topic is Saweetie and the Birkin bag debate. Saweetie recently got on an Instagram Live and said, if he not getting you a Birkin, if he not paying for your bills, then throw that back to the streets. And the men went crazy after she said that. But these are the same men who just a couple of weeks ago were asking the women to buy them a PS5. Now, I get that a Birkin and a PS5 do not cost the same. Obviously, a Birkin is $20,000 plus tax. And a PS5 is maybe $500 to $1,000, depending on what you do and getting games and all that other stuff. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it was exclusively about the Birkin. I think it's about having a man that is able to provide for you. And it's not about him buying you a Birkin. It's not about him paying your bills. She's obviously not speaking to your tax bracket right now. But the principle still applies. Maybe you can't afford a Birkin. Maybe that means he gets you a Louis Vuitton, he gets you a Gucci, or he gets you something from Fashion Nova. It's just having a man that is willing to provide for you and is eager to provide for you. And you can reciprocate it. And for the people that are just on Instagram saying, well, can she buy that for herself? Can she blah, blah, blah? Of course she can. She makes music. She's also a model. She gets paid per Instagram post. Of course she can afford it. Just because she can afford it doesn't mean she doesn't want somebody to buy it for her. Quavo can afford it. So if she asks him for a Birkin, that is not unreasonable.
I think that the interesting thing about this is that the City Girls did say, nasty but classy.
Birkin bag me.
So if that's the standard, all I gotta say is step your bread up. If you can't afford it,
if you broke, just say that.
Right. If you can't afford it, just say it. Just
that's
lay
okay.
it. Like, just establish it. First text message, first Snapchat. Just say that you can't afford no Birkin. But on the other hand, Miss Saweetie, she's a smart gal.
Indeed.
She is a smart gal because I don't think that people peeped that in the end of the sentence when she said send that back to the streets. She just released a song with Jhené Aiko titled Back to the Streets. And I have to say, it is a boppity bop bop.
Period.
Because she knows how to go about promotion. While y'all sitting here talking about Birkins and things like that, Saweetie is collecting her coins because when you look up Back to the Streets on Apple Music, her song is going to come up first. And that's how you secure a check.
So don't say she can't afford to buy her own Birkin because she just tricked y'all into listening to her new single, Checkmate. And for all the men who are like, this is unreasonable and she has to earn it, what did you do to earn that PS5 you asked us for?
Ooh. Well, that's the
real. What did you do?
That's the real spill.
Sir, you work at a McDonald's and you don't even want to pay $28 to take a girl on a date. What did you do to deserve a $500 PS5?
Look,
please, enlighten me.
It's the fake Gucci belts for me.
Ooh.
It's the fake Louis Vuitton for me.
It's the Jordans that really say Hordon for me.
Not this.
It's the Hordons for me.
But popular YouTuber Kayla Nicole took to Instagram to comment on the Birkin debate, basically saying that, sweetie, why are you not reading the room? Because she said that while everyone is sitting here debating Birkins and bags and tax brackets, there are people dying right now. Indeed. And there are greater situations to be handled. And Kayla Nicole mentioned beautifully how we need to be working on ending SARS. We need to be working on Black Lives Matter. We need to be focusing on America's infrastructure and not something as petty and as meaningless as Birkins.
That's very much true, because Africa is bleeding right now, and there are greater discussions that could be going on than, well, he can't buy me a Birkin, so I'm going to send him back to the streets. By all means, you can still do that, but we do need to be focusing on helping our brothers and sisters in Africa, ending SARS, Black Lives Matter, and focusing on voting and voter rights. There are more important matters right now. So, our next topic is India Love is an anti-masker. She recently took to an Instagram Live to say that masks don't do anything. And if you are in public or you are a public service worker and you tell her to pull her mask up while it is sitting on her chin, it is technically up and her face sweats profusely, and she will not pull it up because it is already technically on. She says, it's just a personal issue. I'm an Aquarius. I don't like rules. She also said if coronavirus is also really an airborne disease, then it can go through your eye sockets and it can go through your ears.
My problem with Miss India Love, first of all, Miss Girl, who are you? Who are
Miss
you?
Westbrook, sit down.
Like,
Miss Westbrook.
You do some little modeling. You look cute in your little Fashion Nova, but you're not a public health service worker.
Exactly. Who are you? Who?
You're not in the field seeing what people who like work with people with corona and things like that are seeing.
Yes.
Like, and no matter how big or small her fan base is, I know that there's a small percent of people out there who will take what she's saying and run with it. And that is the problem, and that is the biggest issue I have with what she's saying, because false information is our worst enemy right now in terms of COVID-19 and things like that. Because remember just a few months ago when people thought that you could touch something and like groceries and things like that, and you can get corona.
Or you can inject bleach in yourself, according to Donald Trump, and you can be saved from coronavirus. And I've yet to see him inject himself with bleach.
Ooh. Look, but this false information can lead to some very dangerous narratives. And her saying that like you can get corona through the ears and things like that, like for people with like mental health issues and things like that, that can spawn anxiety for them. That can make them not want to leave their homes, because if you can think that you can get corona through any type of way, why would you ever leave the house? So this false information can create very dangerous narratives and needs to be stopped immediately.
Indeed. If you are not well informed on a topic, don't speak on it. Especially if you're a public figure, do not speak on it, because you know platforms like the Shade Room, they're going to repost it and people are going to see it. And not only are some people going to call you out for being an idiot, there are going to be some people that are like, yeah, she's right, and they're going to keep spreading false information. And if masks don't work, why are places like Australia and China out of this pandemic? Because they listened and they wore their mask and they're out of it. But Americans decided that we should just live around it because capitalism is more important to them than American lives.
You know what city I love in America?
Oh, God.
New York. So next on the block, we have I Love New York reunion hosted by Miss Vivica A. Fox. So
VH1 has officially confirmed that a reunion special of the mid-2000s TV show I Love New York is on the way, and I'm excited. You may know Miss New York from Flavor of Love, or if you're a little bit younger, you might know her from all the memes, especially the one where she has on sunglasses and she's sitting like this.
That's her.
That's her. Yes, that's her. She was a reality TV star. Keeping Up with the Kardashians, thank her for that. Bad Girls Club, thank her for that. She is the pioneer. She is the HBIC, and I'm glad she's finally getting her flowers.
I would argue that without Tiffany Pollard, modern memes wouldn't exist. Modern reality TV wouldn't exist. She simply created all of it. The memes, there have been 20-minute YouTube videos just delving into her quotes because there are just so many. And they trend every few months or so, because I don't know if you recall, but she said she's also the same person who was like, I don't give a, you think I give a, because I don't.
No, 5 minutes later, she was crying. That's me.
And that was an iconic moment.
Just like when she said, Beyonce, you look like Luther Vandross.
So it's very exciting for me to see her finally getting her recognition as the queen of memes, the queen of reality TV. And I'm so excited to see when Miss Pumpkin gets back on the show.
Yes, because this reunion is supposed to revisit the show's greatest moments, heartbreaks, and see how the cast is doing. I don't know about you. I am excited to see the man that had a mental breakdown. That may sound really mean to anybody who didn't watch the show, but it was a little funny. I'm not even going to lie to you. It was kind of funny because he just started panicking out of nowhere. And obviously, panic attacks and things of that nature are not funny. I'm not saying that. But because this is reality TV, it could have been staged, so it was funny. And I'm very much so hoping that we're going to have some Flavor of Love cast members join too. I would like to see Miss Delicious and Miss New York again, because that was an iconic rivalry. Especially when she told her, give it up, Delicious, you look like a man. Which is also not nice, and I do not endorse saying that to somebody. I would like to throw that out there. That is not nice. Don't say that to somebody. Unless you can fight. Then don't say that to somebody. Let's not. Just don't do it. I don't endorse But I just really don't even get how anybody was on Flavor of Love. I do not find Flavor Flav attractive at all. Never have. Even old pictures of him, no, you can't be there for anything but money at that point.
Let me tell you something. I'm from Chicago, and I don't know if you know, but Chicago men are bottom tier, giving very 0 out of 10. And Flavor Flav was giving me very much so Chicago men. Like, and I wasn't having it. Because I saw the show, and I was like, this is who y'all was fawning over? Like,
y'all over here starting fights over Flavor Flav?
I would have just collected my check and
left. Because, no ma'am, no. That's why I loved when New York got her own show. And that way she had men chasing after her as she should. Because let me tell you something about Mr. Flavor Flav. He did Miss New York dirty for 2 seasons of Flavor of Love. She almost won the first round, and then she went with, what's her name? Hoops. That's what it was. He went with Hoops. And then she wasn't even supposed to be on the second season. He brought her in as a special guest, but then he made a plot twist. And she was now a contestant. She got to the top 2 again, made it seem like he was going to go with New York, and then he chose Delicious. So if she had never spoken to him again, I would not blame her. And I completely understand why she had a meltdown the way she did. And I know people are going to say it's childish, but you have to remember, she wasn't even there for him. And he brought her back. He wined her. He dined her. He made it seem like that was who he was going to pick. And then he switched it at the last moment.
And one thing about New York, love her, hate her, she's good television.
Indeed.
And who don't love a little good television?
Indeed. And you can thank any reality TV show, anything that you love to watch, it is because of Miss New York. She is, without a doubt, the blueprint for reality TV. She is the blueprint for memes. Miss New York, she's top tier. She is it, and she deserves all the flowers.
As I like to say, Miss New York, she's top 2, and she ain't number 2.
Period. All right, so that is all we have time for today. If you would like to see more, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at MUTV23 or go to our website, mutv.missouri.edu. Thank you for watching.
Bye-bye.